In 2026, only three types of content are going to have what it takes to help you stand out and build trust: frameworks, opinions, and stories. I think the old playbook is dead, especially for experts like coaches and consultants. If you've got deep expertise and you still feel invisible, this is the system that changes that. So I've spent the past year studying what actually drives clients for experienced consultants, not influencers, not content creators, but people with real expertise who are running businesses. And here's what I found. Look, most consultants are really good at what they do, but their content doesn't uncover that. The original thinking that could actually help them stand out, it gets buried under tired hook formats, right? So that's where my point of view or POV framework comes in. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to create the kinds of content that help clients find you, that showcase your expertise, and that build trust. And if you stick around till the end, I got a bonus that will 10x the engagement with your marketing and your proposal. Seriously, it's a game changer. So I'm Laura Zavelson, and this is the Gen Expert Show. I've spent the last 25 years building venture backed companies and award winning brands. I have taught and tested everything I say on this channel in the classroom, in startup accelerators, and in my own business. And my goal is to help you build your pipeline and become the go to in your niche without spending weekends on your laptop. So, in a minute, we're going to walk through the full POV framework. So, the three types of content that you need to create. And I will show you how you can apply each type in your business and how it helps bring in clients. But first, I want to break down the three biggest traps that you're probably running into in your marketing. So the first trap is that you're helpful but boring. So the content that you're putting out there is probably teaching stuff, but so is everybody else. So you're not letting people know specifically why they should hire you. In a recent study, there was a B2B buyer who said that most marketing content out there was just a sea of sameness. So we've got to get out of that. The second issue is that you're putting up content that's not connecting with people. So maybe you're posting about, whatever's on your mind in a particular week. But the thing is that your content isn't all working together to create a consistent picture of who you are and what you do. And an even bigger problem is that it's not connected back to the thing that you sell. So we need to fix that one too. And then finally, you're probably giving marketing the water faucet treatment, right? You turn it on, you turn it off. So you go quiet for weeks when you're really busy, and then you try to turn it on full force and post every day because you're worried that you don't have a pipeline. Well, that's probably better than doing nothing, but it's kind of like treating marketing like a side hustle rather than an integrated part of your business. And it just doesn't work very well. So if you're stuck in those traps, here's what's happening. The buyers who are out there looking for solutions, they never get a chance to go deep enough with you to understand how you can help them because your content's not connected. Your referrals wonder if you're even still doing the same thing that you used to do because they rarely see you pop up. And you're not getting the escape velocity that you need to move beyond your referral network. And let's be real about buyer behavior. The decision makers do most of their research before ever reaching out. So, yeah, they're checking in with their own networks for referrals, but they are also looking online. So, how do we move past the traps and create the kind of content that brings in clients? Well, we need to use content to give the buyers what they're looking for, which is ultimately that they can trust you to deliver on the solution that they need. So, this is what the POV or point of view model is all about. It's three circles, each representing a specific kind of content: frameworks, opinions, and stories. And each of those components works together and integrates with the other parts to help you break through the noise, build trust, and help people connect with you. So, let me break down each piece and show you how it makes those things happen. Your framework is how you help people solve their problem. It's the process or the steps that you take. It's your big idea. And even if you don't think you have one, I know you do. When a client hires you, you pretty much follow the same basic approach every time. That's your framework. You just haven't written it down yet. And if you stay till the end of this video, I'm going to give you a cheat code for developing a back of the envelope framework that you can start using as soon as today. Because once you visualize and name your framework, you can talk about it everywhere. Your method becomes your marketing. And when you explain your process, when you explain your big idea, people see that you know what you're doing. Frameworks work because they show you have a system. Clients see that you're not making stuff up, okay? Frameworks make hard things simple. One picture explains the whole complex idea or your whole approach, right? Also, people remember pictures. Visual frameworks stick in people's heads. And finally, they prove you're an expert. A clear method shows that you've done this before and that this isn't your first rodeo. Your framework very clearly shows how you're different from anyone you're competing with. So, this next component is your opinions, or they could be hot takes, right? Most people avoid saying what they really think. They're scared they'll lose prospects. But if you just say what everyone else is saying, no one is ever going to notice you. Opinions get attention. If you think something in your industry is wrong or it could be better, say it out loud and say it online. Okay. And here's what most people miss: strong opinions can actually help you find the right clients by filtering out the people who were never going to be your clients anyway. So let's just say you post something like, most companies waste money on employee surveys because they don't fix the real problem. Okay, some people are going to disagree with that. That's fine. Those weren't your clients anyway. But there are going to be people who read that and think, yes, finally, somebody came out and said it. Well, those are the people you exactly want to work with. Look, you don't need to start fights. That's not what this is about. You just need to say things that are different from what everybody else says. So let's look at what might make a good place for you to plant your opinion flag. You could try going against something that most people in your field do. So if there's something that a lot of consultants in your field do that you feel like is BS or is taking advantage of people, talk about that. It's a good idea though if you can back whatever opinion you have up with your experience and you can tell a story about it. And then finally, if your opinion naturally leads to why your framework, your big idea is the way it is, that is a great way of kind of connecting the dots for people. So, if you need some ideas about how to develop 2 or 3 opinion areas that you can own, I've got 4 of them along with the AI prompts in the go to content grid, and you can download that in the description. Okay. Now, the bottom line: your opinion areas not only help you stand out, they also show how you're different. So, the last component of your point of view is your stories. And these are even more important right now because of all the AI content that's flying around, right? So, stories stick in people's minds because they trigger emotions. And emotions actually are connected to memory. So, it's how you can get people to start remembering you as they digest your content over time. Stories make you relatable, they prove you're real, and they show that you've actually done the work. So there are 5 stories that you need to develop for yourself, and then you can weave them into all of your content. You need an origin story, so why you do the work that you do. You need a proof story, that's your case study. You need a mistake story where something went wrong and you learned something from it. You need a rant story, and you can connect that to your opinions or your hot takes. And then finally, I think you need a vision story. And that is, where do you see your niche or your industry going? That's one of the clear ways that you can show that you're a thought leader in your space. So, if you want to know more about kind of the kinds of things that you should talk about in each of those kinds of stories, I made a recent video about that. It got over 2,000 views. So, I'm going to put a link to that in the description too. But here's the thing about stories: AI cannot copy your real experiences. So, that in itself, again, makes you different. So, if you kind of sensed a theme here across all 3 kinds of content that I'm talking about, it's all about showcasing how you're different. And once you have your POV put together, you can use it everywhere. You can use it in pitches, you can use it in proposals, you can use it in your marketing, you can use it in networking, everywhere. Our brains are wired to notice what's different. With all the noise online today, being different just isn't optional anymore. So you could do just one of the 3 kinds of content. But when you use all 3 of those kinds together, the framework, the opinions, and the stories, you're not just making content, you're building a connected position that makes you the obvious choice to solve your client's problem. So there are 6 things you can expect if you start creating content this way. First, shorter sales cycles. People will understand your approach before the first call, so you're not explaining from scratch. Second, you're going to get better quality leads. When someone contacts you, they're going to already know how you work. So, self selection means that fewer people are wasting your time. Next, you're probably going to get less pushback on price. So, you're coming in to do your named, repeatable thing. You're an expert, and this is how much you charge, period. You're going to get easier referrals because your network is going to be really clear on what you do because every single piece of content that you put out there references it. Okay. Another benefit is no more blank pages or blinking cursors. All of your content is built around this same point of view scaffolding. And finally, you're going to be able to build a body of connected work. So 6 months from now, if someone finds you for the first time, they can scroll back or look back through your previous posts and right away understand your entire approach and who you are. That is different than just having social media posts. And based on what we understand at the moment, this is also the foundation that you need to get found in AI search. As a personal example, 25% of the traffic to my YouTube channel is right now coming from ChatGPT. Okay, I promised you a bonus if you stayed to the end. So, the framework piece of the POV model is an important part of how you build your content. But what if you don't have one yet? Well, here's a back of the envelope exercise that you can try today. It won't take you very long, and it can get you something to work with until you're ready to invest the time to really unpack your approach. So here's what I want you to do. You can draw a line, you can draw a circle, you can draw a triangle, all really simple shapes. So what I want you to do is I want you to think about what your process most closely is like. So if there's a start and there's a finish, your model is a line with 3 stops along the way because people like to know how they're going to get from point A to point B, okay? If your approach is more like a cycle, then your model is a circle. You can go have steps around the circle, or you can have phases around the circle. Either one will work for you. And then finally, if your process isn't like any of those, sometimes a triangle is a better model. So you put the goal in front of the triangle, and then you can put constraints on the side, or you can put like 3 principles, one on each side of the triangle. Okay. Line, circle, triangle. You can just doodle around on a piece of paper for a while and then show it to some people and see what they think. All right, so here's what's next. If you don't have a content strategy for 2026, just use this POV model that I shared with you. Use it as your foundation. Frameworks, opinions, stories. You will never run out of things to talk about. And then pick a platform and 1 or 2 social channels and start posting. Sooner is better than perfect, I promise. And batch everything. Right now, go into your calendar for next year and set up 4 3-day content sprints, one a quarter. And that's where you're going to focus on creating this kind of content that we've just been talking about and then schedule everything in advance. And to make it even easier for you, you can use that go to content grid that I mentioned earlier. It gives you AI prompts to help you create content for each of the key areas your framework, your stories, and your opinions. It's a system, it's all connected. You just need to push the go button. If this was helpful, I hope you'll subscribe and please do share it with another coach or consultant who has a goal to be more visible for next year. And if you want to continue on your quest for being the go to in your niche in 2026, these are the 2 videos that I recommend watching next. Have a good one. I'll see you next time.